Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. So sit back and relax or walk and listen and join me on this journey as we try to answer this never-ending question. What makes people say, why not? Hi guys, welcome back to Why Not. So today's guest I have for you is all the way over in Wales. She is Katie Parry-Evans, also known as on Instagram Gym Pony. So the reason I have Katie on here today is she is also a PT who works with equestrians. So firstly, I just want to welcome you to the podcast, Katie. How are you?
Thanks, Chrissy. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you today?
Yeah, good. I'm really excited to talk about this because I do think it's a fun topic and it's fun to have someone who works in this kind of scenario. But first, I suppose, can you introduce yourself? Tell everybody who you are. What do you do?
So I'm Katie, as Chrissy said. I'm 34 and I have been a professional show horse trainer for probably from when I was about 19, I started properly. So you do the maths, is that about 15 years maybe? And then I've always strength trained, CrossFit, that kind of functional fitness industry, mainly for mental health, but also for trying to keep myself stronger within the saddle. I suffer quite badly with hypermobility and disc bulges in my lumbar, so strength training has massively helped me increase my stability as opposed to mobility, because I'm very, very mobile. Like, my squat depth is very good and everything like that, but actually keeping my hips in the actual place they should be has been quite a challenge, mainly for stuff like riding. So trying to have like an independent aids and stuff. So my right side is exceptionally weak, so I've had to work pretty hard myself to strengthen that. So then my PT, well, coach, we kind of don't really use PT where we are as such, not just because we just kind of use the word coach. It's more kind of coaching, if that makes sense. So he basically said that he thought I'd make quite a good coach, PT, whatever. Did I want to do my course? So alongside training the horses, I also run a restaurant, which has been a rather big juggling act for about 7, 8 years. But we are coming to end of the restaurant at the end of this year, just with the announcement of the budget in the UK has been pretty tough on us all. So we just can't really make ends meet anymore to pay staff and stuff. So yeah, I am now full-time coaching. I have got one-to-one clients and I still have a couple of show horses in the stables. So that's kind of me, really.
Yeah, no, you do so many things. Like, when do you sleep?
Well, I actually sleepwalk as well, which is quite yeah, I kind of check. I've got one of these whoops that obviously track everything, mainly recovery, which is why I kind of started wearing it. My husband bought it for me, and I see my step count when I wake up in the morning, and I've been kind of wandering around as well. Coaching a lot in my sleep. I have my phone out with a stopwatch on it, counting people's plank time and just random stuff. So yeah, I think I'm quite a busy person in my headspace as well. So I think that's where like training and stuff massively pays dividends for me anyway. And I think that's the same with a lot of people that come in through the doors of the gym. Obviously, they come for their mental health just as much as their physical,
Yeah, I think that's really true. I know half the people who come to my gym as well, like, they're half there for the chats with everyone else.
Yeah. Well, they get that, like, that's their 1 hour of the day where they just literally come to you for that 1 hour. And even if I've got like shit going on, in my life or whatever, it is pretty nice every now and again when one like particular client, there's quite a lot of them, but we'll just turn around and I'll say, hi, how are you? And they say, yeah, good. How are you? And you're like, oh my God, thanks for asking. But yeah, it's pretty important to kind of get out any negativity within yourself for when you are coaching, because obviously it is their 1 hour of that day where they come for a release. So I've coached quite often a class that we call mums and prams, which is majority of the mums have trained like whilst they were pregnant and stuff, or pre-pregnancy. And they come, the babies all just sit in the corner. It's pretty random. We put the TV on and put some kid program on, and yeah, it's just their 1 hour where they can just pretend that they're not really a mum anymore. So yeah, the mental health side of it is just so massive, and I think probably that's where it needs to be pushed a bit more within the industry, and for horse people, you know, because it's quite lonely sport, as you know. Do you know what I mean? Especially winter and stuff when
Mhm.
competitions decrease, and yeah. So I've got a bit off piece there.
No,
Sorry.
no, no. I think it's really cool. Actually, it's interesting you say that about being a lonely sport because I kind of understand that myself. Like, so I haven't been riding for the last year or so, and recently I joined a rugby team, and it's so weird being in a team environment, and there's so
Yeah,
many people, and like people are all really nice, but I'm just like I'm so not used to like being in a group, and it
yeah,
is from that like those years like you're there all the time, but you do spend a lot of time just you and the horse, don't you?
yeah. So my husband actually was up until last year, really, he trained harness racing horses professionally. So we've had anything from 8 in the stables up to like 20 in the past 7 years we've been together. So we've kind of done it all together, me, him, and his father-in-law, and then his sorry, my father-in-law, his father, and then his mum would come on the weekends, like racing and stuff, because she's got a full-time job. So we did that, which was, you know, quite cool. There was the three of us every single day of the week doing the horses. And alongside that, I did my show horse. So kind of going backwards, sorry, this is I've
No,
not really started this very well.
you're
Um,
okay.
so I was a full-time show producer pre my husband, and then when me and him met 7 years ago, I had been back and forth to Australia showing ponies and stuff, Welsh horses I specialise in. So after I came back from Australia, kind of settled down back in West Wales where I now live and have grown up, and did the harness racing with him and just ran a few show horses alongside that. So yeah, this year I've campaigned a cob stallion for 3 years, and this year we went champion at the Royal Welsh, which is like the biggest show that you could kind of achieve anything with a Welsh cob at. And then we were second at Horse of the Year show. So I've
Wow.
only managed to really campaign one horse this year, but we've had a pretty good crack at it all and done well, exceptionally well, really. If I'd have looked back at me like, yeah, if I was like 10 years ago and looked forward 10 years, I probably wouldn't have believed what I'd achieved this year, you know? So, yeah.
I think as well, like coming second in Horse of the Year, like that's one of, we know the big shows, but that's one like in Ireland that I know
Yeah.
people are going to try and compete
Yeah.
in. Like they aim for that. So
Yeah.
that's really impressive to
Oh,
be
thank you.
second.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was really proud of that, but I think my probably biggest achievement this year with the horses is the Cob Stallion. Royal Welsh Show is the only show in the country, and I probably go as far as saying maybe the world, that the ride judge will ride the Welsh cobs. Generally, it's just like yourself, you ride them in the show. Um, and my stallion then scored the highest mark across 60 horses of his way of going. So that kind of proved to me that all my strength training has massively like made a difference in how I've trained the horse, because I've been literally the only one that sat on him other than a couple of rides, people being a dummy for me pre the show, you know? So yeah, I think I'm trying kind of and succeeding kind of at getting people to realize the importance of strength training alongside riding, and just transferable skills, you know?
Mm. What was it? At what point would you say? I suppose with himself winning, you're kind of like, okay, you're strength training. What point did you start to think, okay, this is really important for me to do the strength training alongside just training him?
Um, it's been like a few years really. I think I developed the bulging discs from a repetitive strain injury of basically shit shoveling. When you have like 15, 20 race horses in and you're turning boxes over completely every morning. Just that like lower twist, like loading up and twisting. So kind of got told stop mucking out, otherwise you will probably end up with no disc there at all, really. So I stopped mucking out and then realized that I just had to massively focus on my core and like making sure that I had like stronger hips and stuff to try and support that lower back. So the horse that I ride now that I've campaigned this year is he's just under 15 hands, but he's like a big powerhouse. And I've always at 5'2" ridden quite small horses just because I've been able to get away with riding smaller ponies. So the only way that I was actually going to be able to ride him properly was getting myself stronger and getting myself sitting deeper and just working on everything like that. So that's kind of been an ongoing, I'd say, 4-year period, because I broke him 4 years ago this time of year. So and every winter, obviously, with the horses, sort of I can't think what the word is, you know, everything goes a bit quieter this time of year, so you can really focus on that gym work and getting to the gym. And obviously it helps now working there every day. I've got access to an incredible facility at a gym called Cal Strength, which is where I coach. So yeah, I think yeah, maybe 4 years ago-ish, when I realised my back was a bit buggered, really. So
Yeah, and so basically, instead of, I know obviously mucking out, you wouldn't be doing that as much, but instead of kind of stopping everything altogether, you found a way to build everything back up.
yeah, exactly. So even stuff like I've got this hypermobility, which is it sort of benefits me in some aspects, because I've got seriously good mobility. Like I said, my depth of squat and stuff is really good, but actually loading it on my lumbar spine was pretty horrendous. And it's like only just now I'm able to do stuff like overhead squats and stuff, just for the fear of like my shoulders just popping out their sockets and stuff. So that has been an ongoing kind of thing of trying to get myself a bit stronger, just to do basic movements, which I really enjoy CrossFit. I think it's a really good sport of just functional fitness, and everything is transferable just to life, let alone horse riding. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And when you launched Gym Pony, what was kind of the feedback? How do you find other equestrians are kind of responsive to it? Because I don't know what it's like over in Wales, but I think in Ireland there's still, like, you can see it growing, maybe more so in like the UK, maybe more so England because it's bigger. But like Wales is part of the UK, but it's like a smaller bit, like
Yeah.
Ireland, small place. And like Australia and America, there's a lot of more people coming and talking about fitness for equestrians, but I still feel like in Ireland there is a big conception of you just ride more, you'll get better.
Yeah. Well, I launched it back in June, and I've I've not got a massive amount, but I've got a good number of people to kind of keep me going. And they've seen massive improvement within their ride, and just stuff like being able to keep going more, or having like a better, longer leg within the saddle, just through actually having better hip flexors and stuff, stuff like that. Because I do try and incorporate a lot of mobility work into my online plans. And I did quite a few things, like in the summer. I was really lucky to be asked to go to stuff like the Pony Club summer camp. Do you have Pony Club over there?
We do, yeah.
Yeah, so I got asked for one of the branches to go and do the rider fitness badge and stuff like that, which was really interesting, because the kids, I was like, put your hands up if anyone does any sport. And everyone, I don't know, there seems to be a bit of a thing at the moment where people think going to doing sports within schools, like you're a bit of a loser and stuff. I don't know. I think they need to kind of work a bit harder on trying to realize the importance of fitness, especially for when you're later in life and stuff. And when you start, like a teenager, just picking up a barbell now would massively benefit them later on. So same with the riding club. I got asked to do the riding club, go and do a fitness class and just explain the importance of it. And the adults and the kids, none of them did any form of sport other than riding. And then I sort of posed them the question of, you see the show jumpers in the Olympics, or whoever, like Charlotte Fry, for example, doing dressage. Do you think the only exercise she physically does is riding her horse every day? Like, no, she is strength training, core training, mobility, stability, like it's everything, isn't it? So yeah, I do think it's very important.
Yeah, we have a couple of like our bigger riders over here that would talk about fitness. I know, for example, like one of our eventers, Joseph Murphy, would talk about the fact that he does that quite a bit. But I think sometimes they think it's more something professionals should do, but also, when you say people asking, do they do any sport?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes equestrians forget that they're doing a sport because it is a sport. Do you know what I mean? They'll know about the physical part about it, but that's one thing I've tried to say to them before is like, horse riding is like any other sport.
Yeah.
You need to do this just like any other player, or any footballer, or like we have GAA over here, Gaelic football and hurling and hockey. They're really big over here. So I don't think you can go through school without being forced into do it at some point.
No.
But like that, like if they want to go serious, they are all doing strength and conditioning programs. So why should we be any different?
Yeah, I think what really like raised my awareness of fitness within horse riding was during lockdown. I kind of pre-lockdown, I'd lost my confidence within the riding quite a bit. Sort of stuff happened in my private life, and yeah, just I couldn't think of anything worse than getting back in the ring, and I started just riding some of the race horses we had here, like the harness racing horses. So we breed Trotter Francais, which is the French trotter, which the French government basically fund the prize money over here, and they do in Ireland as well for, I think I can't remember what it's called in Ireland, but it's Le Trot, the French society anyway. They fund racing, the prize money. And over in France, it's very popular, a sport called Monte, which is basically saddle racing on the trotters. So quite a few of ours were either broken previously, or we just backed them once they were in the cart. So I rode quite a few of them here, and then I kind of get quite, I think anyone that runs their own business or is quite busy gets quite obsessed by something like researching. So I started researching Monte racing, and then like riders, and I started following riders, and then started realizing how much they needed to train off the saddle before they could actually hold themselves in that position for a 2-minute race, basically in a squat, holding their core. Do you know, everything like that?
Yeah.
So then I started following loads of like jockey fitness people. So I have actually started online training with a guy. I can't even think of his name. This is really bad. But his page is X Compete on Instagram. I don't know if you follow him. So he trains like Holly Doyle and jockeys like that over here. It's just all transferable strength and conditioning training that is essentially a lot of what I program to my online clients or my one-to-one PTs. But yeah, it was just really interesting watching like jockeys doing it, and then I thought, well, these people, like, you just kind of think that they're fit from riding out, but they are in the gym every afternoon, as well as waking up at 4 a.m. to ride out like 4 or 5. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I kind of just got really interested in like researching all that. Sounds like I'm a complete nutty idiot now, but yeah, that's
No,
it's
really
good
though.
Yeah.
I think the racing industry as well, they're always, when it comes to different things, they're always ever so slightly ahead of the likes of show jumping, 3-day eventing, dressage, probably because there's a lot more money in the industry.
Yeah.
But even on terms of things over here, like you do see stuff about jockeys doing stuff, and then even like things like mental health services. It exists in the racing industry, but it doesn't really exist on the other sides.
No.
Do you find that happens over in where you are as well, or
in what respect now? The mental health?
No, just in general, the racing side of equestrian disciplines is a little bit ahead in most sectors.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know, it gets a bit of a, like, I'm really into racing. I love racing. I love the racehorse. I love the fact that if you go to any yard, majority of yards within racing, they are treated far better than the generic pony club pony, and it does get a very bad rep, but I can't even remember what the question was now. I've gone off on a tangent, sorry.
I was just saying that, do you find that racing is a little bit ahead of things? And I totally agree what you're saying though about racing. I'm very much on that kind of side as well.
Yeah, I think it's weird because I've traveled quite a bit down under and worked there showing and stuff, like I said earlier, and the racing over there is just so much more advanced than what it is here. And it's just even like the race day experience, even just for race goers, it's a much bigger sport over there. So although I do think it's a bit more forward here than other sports, I would say that Britain are very behind places like Australia, even France, like the French gallops and stuff. The prize money here is sort of dwindling down a bit as well. I think like your big Irish trainers and stuff would go over to France more freely than coming over to Britain to race now. just with money and stuff. So yeah, I don't know about that question, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's something I've noticed in the Irish industry. Our racing industry does seem to have a lot more. Like things like that. They're a little bit more advanced in a sense, and obviously we have some very top trainers as well. So their yards are obviously going to be, the horses are going to
Yeah.
be perfect. But yeah, it's just something I find interesting. I also find, I don't know if it's the same in Britain as well, but every discipline doesn't speak to each other in Ireland.
Oh yeah, it's very much like that here. Yeah, even within showing, there's probably, so to qualify for horse the issue within the discipline I do, the Welsh ridden ponies, you could be a member of, like, there's NPS, BSPS, the showing register. You could be a member of your breed that you have your horse into. So I'm not a member of any of them. I'm just a member of Welsh Pony and Cob because I'm a life member, and I joined up when I was, say, 20, and that's just me done. Do you know? So yeah, it's very much like that, and it's the same thing within showing here. Home produce rules. So I could technically, now that my husband isn't a professional trainer, and next year I could then produce a pony from home of that I owned myself and still do something paid for someone else. But because the one I'm doing for myself is myself, it would be fine. But then within other societies, wouldn't be fine. So there's some very grey areas within rulings, which yeah makes it pretty confusing within the equestrian sport over here, definitely.
Yeah, we have that kind of issue, but I think it's just each discipline. So we don't have like, to my knowledge, actually, because I don't really know a lot about showing, but I
Yeah.
don't think there's like several different.
Oh, okay.
So I think there is one. I'm not fully certain. I could be wrong because again, like I was in the show jumping eventing side of
Yeah.
things, so I don't know what's going on in showing.
Yeah.
And I say that in not in a sense that I don't like any of them, more that I actually find it kind of sad that like you have this industry of people who are so dedicated
Yeah.
to looking after horses, but if you do it slightly differently or into a slightly different form of it, people are like, eh.
Yeah.
Like, why would you all talk to each other? You have the same, like at the
Yeah.
base of it, it's the same thing. It's a love for horses.
Yeah. I mean, I do love the show, but since having this big horse that I campaigned this year, I found a Paralympic dressage rider. He was gold at the Olympics, I think in Sydney in 2000 maybe, or was it Rio? One of anyway, he was gold in the Paralympics one year. His name's Simon, and he comes to an arena maybe 5-minute drive from my house, and he comes once a month, and I've been just doing dressage training with him for 3 seasons now with this horse, which has severely improved way of going, and yeah, just everything about my riding and everything. So combining my dressage training, I do have a shown instructor, Debbie, as well, but I think it's so important to carry on having trainers no matter where you get in whatever level. Like I wouldn't say I'm an amazing rider, but I know I'm not too bad, and I think it's so important to carry on training and just learning all the time. That's the part of the horses I enjoy the most, I'd say, is that dressage training. Just, and like when you teach a horse something new and they just grasp it immediately, and you just think, oh my god, like this is friggin' amazing. Yeah, so I love training horses. Love it, definitely.
How important do you think it is having other coaches come in and give you guidance?
Oh, massively. So like this morning this is my day off today from the gym, but I run the restaurant now for the weekend. So I went to the gym this morning to do an hour of CrossFit and an hour of Olympic weightlifting with Owen, who is one of the other coaches there. So he is a CrossFit athlete. He's been to the games, and he's was like CrossFit athlete #1 for Wales like multiple times. So he's amazing. Just like very little things, just when you go to deadlift, put your bum down like this much, like a tiny amount, and it just makes so much difference. So having that person on the ground, whether you're in the gym or whether you're on the horse or anything, I think it's so important. And I also love going to somebody like Owen or even like Reese that owns the gym, and when he coaches, or Alice, the other coach. Like, you can never stop learning from other people that are like you, whether it's good or bad. You can pick up good coaching points, or you can like go to a coach and think, I actually don't like how they how that they put that across to me. So I will take that and not deliver it like that next time. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
yeah, for good and bad reasons, definitely. I think it's super important that you keep trying to make yourself better, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I know what you like. It does make sense because you can look at stuff and go, I wouldn't do it that way, and that's still learning.
Mm.
So what do you think? Like, what would you think horse riders need to know about when it comes to strength training? Do you know what I mean? Something that they're missing, they're not realizing.
Um, that's a really good question. I don't like being asked questions on the spot. So I try to make sure I do loads of like unilateral work so that mainly because of how I've tried to improve myself, especially my right side. Um, Horse riders always have one side a lot weaker than the other. Same with the horses. So just because my right side's bad doesn't mean that my horse's right side is bad. It's generally, sometimes opposite. But I do try and get clients to do a lot of unilateral work, balance work. Well, and like I said, core mobility, strength, like everything like that. That would just be transferable over to when you're in the saddle. So yeah, unilateral work is one of my probably favorite things, just so that you've got like a completely independent aids, really, because my right is just so crap that I feel that is important, and yeah, it's like when you're coaching someone, you can see they're doing an overhead shoulder press or something, and they're going on one arm and it's just flying up, and the same way on the other side is just really, really difficult. It just goes to show that it's so important to make sure you train yourself independently on each side,
Yeah, just like I know you kind of touched on what it will be there, but can you explain what unilateral work is for those who mightn't know?
Oh, sorry. So just one arm or one leg, so one side or the other side. So yeah, you're basically using, so if you're doing like a box squat, you'd be going on one leg as opposed to box squatting with two legs, or overhead press, or renegade rows, stuff like that. Anything where you're using one
Yeah.
side, and
Yeah,
so
no, that's I knew, and even like as you were saying there, like you can see on the different sides, but just
yeah,
it's just good to like say that because I knew what you were saying, but some
yeah.
people
I did do really good actually on my ex-compete the other day, which I have programmed to someone else now. Was bird dog rows. So you're on a bench doing bird dog
Hey, that's
in a
interesting.
bird dog position with one leg out behind you and one leg on the bench. Sorry, one leg and one arm on the bench, obviously diagonally, and then one leg out as if you're doing a bird dog, and then like bent over rows but on the bench, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which was exceptionally hard when I did it the other day, and I felt like I'd never been in the gym before. But yeah, I've now progressed 10 kilos, so it's got a bit easier. But yeah, but no, I am really enjoying the coaching side of it. Like I said, for the mental side for people, but also I've had some really amazing results lately. One girl, so we basically started this class in cattle strength called saddle strength, which we initially started it was kind of half mine, half Reese, the owner's idea, which was just a strength and conditioning class for horse riders. And the first week, so we got like 20 slots. We've got this thing called Wadboard where you can book all your classes online and stuff. So the first week, the 20 slots were completely filled on both of the sessions, Tuesday and Thursday, and people just turned up just to see what it was about. I would say maybe 6 to 8 of them were horse girls, and the rest were just a random group of women from about 14 years of age up to about 50 something. So we've been open 10 weeks now in the gym, and it's been fully booked every single week with a wait list of sometimes 20 extra people. And we've now started an extra class midweek. So one girl that's come for the last 10 weeks, I think on week 7, or was it week 8, she said to me that she's a type 1 diabetic and her doctor's never been happy with her blood sugar levels. So that was like, felt really, really like chuffed. She'd come every week for 8, I think 7, 8 weeks. Another lady's now gone just over 1.25 stone or something in weight loss, and she's in her 50s, and just her shape is looking so different, but also the way she comes in the gym, like with so much confidence, it's just unreal. Then another client online, again, she has been going now for about 12 weeks. She was a little bit heavier, so we just obviously did stuff like reduced calories ever so slightly after working out what she was eating, like after tracking for say 2 weeks prior. She's only had 3 very, very basic workouts a week, but has now just hit 3 stone and has gone off her blood pressure tablets and stuff, which is just, it makes me so happy. So yeah, stuff like that just, it makes you warm inside, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think it also shows you don't have to be, 7 days a week killing yourself to
No,
see these
no.
things. And it's those things like coming off your like blood pressure medication. These are the things you love seeing, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
or seeing people like who come into the gym and they're happy and they're confident.
Yeah.
It's like they're the things you look for, I think, as a coach more than, oh, you're down this much weight,
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of like this particular lady wanted to lose weight for multiple reasons, like
Mhm.
for her head, but also like her knee health and stuff like that. And yeah, just 3 to 4 workouts a week with some mobility, tracking, and yeah, like I'm going to reduce the calories a little bit now just because she's, now at a stage where she can carry on. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, seeing progress other than weight loss is just the best feeling, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
What was it actually like making the decision to come into coaching? Because I suppose you've been training horses, so you have been obviously in a kind of coaching role, but going from, a say regular gym goer to a coach, what was that transition like for yourself? Like,
um, so I've run the restaurant for full time on my own for a good 5 years, I think it is now. So I've had like a team of about 15 girls, full and part time working for me. And have taught like just random kids over the years to ride and stuff, and had people ride for me and stuff. But we started, so the new gym opened about 10 weeks ago. So the class sizes now are about 20. But prior to that, I did about a month of coaching prior to the new gym opening. And the old gym, the size of it is the same size as our new gym's reception. So it was a much smaller space. It was literally a tiny barn on the farm, where you'd have a maximum of 8 people. So I started in a much, much smaller scale. But in all honesty, and I'm sure I'm going to share the crap out of this for people to listen within the gym, but I'm sure whoever from the gym listens to this will agree that I've found changing over to being a coach very easy. I'm a very people person and very willing to help people, and yeah, I love being around people. So I think I found it quite easy. Honestly, and
yeah.
it's not just me being like think I'm great and confident, because I am. I do struggle inside. People probably don't know, but yeah. I found the transition pretty easy, yeah, to be fair.
And would you
Like,
say that is to do with like having run the restaurant for so long and being used to, like, I know it's a different scenario, but being used to kind of running a team in a sense, do you know what I mean? Like, it's staff in the restaurant, but here it's still a group of people that you're
yeah,
kind of in charge of, for want of a better description.
yeah, I'd say I don't find it difficult to kind of command the room, if that makes sense. Not that I'm like, strict or anything. I think people come to my classes probably because I'm quite fun and I make people feel quite good about themselves. I'd say I'm quite and well, I'm very energetic. I'm not quite energetic. I'm probably a bit too energetic for a lot of people. But yeah, I think I'm quite good at motivating people. And if someone's like entered that pain cave of a really disgusting workout in whatever class it might be, I'm very good at motivating people to like carry on, and encouraging people. And I would say I'm a good cheerleader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So.
the thing, like you can command a room without being a dictator. And I
Oh
think
yes. Yeah.
a lot of people, maybe they still have that idea in their head of going to the gym and just being screamed at.
Yeah.
Whereas like I full on tell people that's not what I do. I'm not going to do that. I will be.
Dictator's the good word, because
Yeah.
I was trying to think of the word dictator, and the only word I had in my head was a German dictator's name, and I thought I probably best not mention it on a podcast.
It's alright, I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, dictate is the word. Yeah, I definitely don't dictate, but yeah, I would say that I'm a motivator. I'm a good cheerleader, and yeah.
Yeah, what message would you like to maybe convey to not necessarily horse riders, but anyone? Because I do think as well, a lot of women find gyms quite daunting. You possibly agree yourself, but what message do you want to convey to them who's maybe thinking about it, but they're just like, oh, not sure about that now.
Um, I'm probably going to sound a bit of a broken record for anyone that does listen that has heard me speak within our community. We obviously opened the new gym 10 weeks ago and have had a massive increase of members. And it's actually been me that's run the beginners and over 50s classes. So I've seen like, a massive amount of new people that have come to the gym. And one lady turned up and she was like, I've been on the toilet all morning. I've been so scared about coming. And I was like, you really don't need to. And at the end, she just looked like double the person, like mentally, and just sort of said to me, oh my God, this was so good. And I said, yeah, I've told you there's nothing to worry about. So I kind of say to everyone, everything's like infinitely scalable. So if you come, even if you have never come to the gym and you came to a CrossFit class, we could scale it so that you are doing the most basic movements and someone's doing exactly the same as you, but they're doing it, I don't know, with a heavier weight, more reps, a different technique. So, you might be doing a press up on your knees and someone might be doing a handstand wall walk or something, just something random like that. Whereas, yeah, I think it's helped massively with us that there's both myself and Alice as coaches within our gym now, because I've had quite a few people start in classes that have said, I'd have never have come if it wasn't a girl, and I'm a bit like, when Reese is so welcoming and warm, the owner and main coach at Cal Strength, but it's like we've got no mirrors in our gym, so it's very it's more of a community than people coming in and looking in the mirror whilst their muscles are tense. It's not that kind of place. Everyone knows everyone. I've made a massive effort, and I would say I'm probably 95% successful at remembering everyone's names, and we've got multiple hundred members at the gym now. So just so that when people walk through the door, even if it's their second time, I can be like, oh, hiya, Hannah. Do you know what I mean? And
Mm.
straight away they think, oh my God, this coach has remembered my name and this is my only second visit. It's like I said earlier, it's like that 1 hour of a day for somebody. So if they come and they think they're important for that 1 hour, they might have had the most crappiest morning in the world. They've walked in and me or whoever else coaching there is on the reception, be like, hi, Hannah. And they see us and think, oh my God, like I'm so important, which I think makes a massive difference. So anyone that's scared of coming, I would say don't knock it until you try it. That's
Yeah.
probably the saying.
I always say as well, like, we have in Dublin anyway, I'm sure the same exist like everywhere. They definitely do, but we have these massive gyms, like, so we have like Flyfoot or Westwood, and they're just these big commercial gyms, and they're cheap because they're huge, and it's that kind of vibe of you can have people who are more interested in looking at themselves while they're training, or there's these massive people, and I think people associate all gyms with that, whereas my gym is very small. It's that kind of like vibe. We have nice, coaches kind of thing. It's small, and then I'm like, if you're scared, don't sign up to a Flyfit. Like, not the Flyfit
Yeah.
are really good at what they do, but you're not going to enjoy it. You don't want to be anything like, go to a smaller place, go to somewhere, maybe even if like there's a few things like women's only gyms, but like go to something like that, or check out the vibe before you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think community is massively important. And it's the same with, say, my online training or my one-to-ones in person. It's like just making that person feel that they're important.
Yeah.
And yeah, even my over 50s at the class, some of them have never even been into a gym until they started now. And 10 weeks ago could barely do a lunge, and now they're lunging free-handed with no PVC pipe, or they're doing push press of 7.5 kilos when they couldn't even, they pick up like a 2.5 kilo and think, Jesus, this is heavy, just lifting it up, you know? So yeah, there's always going to be progression, but there's always scalability. So never feel scared of coming to any gym or class or getting started online. You know, it's exactly the same thing. Like the lady I was saying that's lost a lot of weight and her blood pressure and everything has come down. You know, I started on the most basic movements that, you know, some people would perhaps look at that programming that I've done for her and think, Jesus, that is like nothing. But if you haven't done anything and you have never done anything exercise wise, it's got to be stripped right back, you know?
Yeah. You're meeting them where they are as opposed to where you think they should be. And I think that's a sign that like you are a really good coach because you're creating that, like you are working for them. It's not for you.
Yeah. I did find, I remember when I first started, so it's my husband's one of my husband's best mates. He is I wouldn't say he's not full time now, but he rents out rally cars and he was like Welsh champion and stuff, rally driving and stuff. And he wanted to do we have, I think it's the European rally. I'm going to get shouted at because I will get it wrong because I'm not into rallying, but I do. So he asked me, would I just give him some PTs before the rally in August. So he was my first ever client. And I remember I'm only 5'2" and he's, oh my God, he must be over 6 foot, I would have thought. And I remember picking up like 7.5 kilos, just thinking he'd just happily push press, like shoulder, like overhead press them. And he was like, and I remember this was when I first started, and I thought to myself, my God, I've really got to try and like work out people's abilities before I either insult them from giving them too little or too much. And I think I've managed to gauge it a lot better now. But that was one thing I struggled with because I wouldn't say I'm massively strong, but I'm definitely not a weak. Do you know? I'm not necessarily weak, but do you know what I mean? I'm can lift a bit of weight, but I'm not. I'm nowhere near like the strong girls in the gym and stuff. But yeah, it was very bizarre me handing these weights to someone that I just sort of envisaged as much bigger and naturally stronger than myself. And yeah, it was just so that's one thing I found I struggled with at the start, but yeah, I've got to grips with quite a bit now, and yeah, it's kind of helped everyone's within the gym. It's all started. A lot of people have started off at the same kind of beginnery stage within my classes, so it's been quite easy just to build people up progressively rather than gauging people's weights, you know?
Yeah, I do. I do actually even thinking now that I've been training for a long time or PTing for a long time, coaching for a long time. I actually find it harder, maybe because I'm a girl, to gauge what new men can do because they can generally lift heavier than the girl. Like I'll always go a little bit easier on the girls. I'd be like, yeah, let's just pick that now. And after a week, I tell them straight up because first week I'm nice to you, but after that, it's over. And I'll try and like nicely, like not like throw double, but like, try and encourage them to go a little bit heavier. Whereas lads, it's hard to decide because they can generally lift heavier, but sometimes you overshoot it, and it
and
is
also,
hard to know.
and also just there's no. I find it hard, not necessarily the weight situation, but also teaching people form when they've never, ever even like know how to hinge their hips and stuff. So yeah, I've kind of
Bent over rows and RDLs are a nightmare to teach people who've never trained before.
or even a deadlift. Some people, just that the end of the movement wanting to bend their arms and stuff. Stuff like that. It's really difficult to, just because it's such a new movement for people. But yeah, once people realize, people get the movement, it's then so rewarding to think, oh, I've actually translated this for them and got through to them, and that's a very rewarding part of the job as well.
Yeah, and even saying that, like, they're just two that I know when I'm going to coach someone, it's going to be difficult, and I don't expect everyone to get it, and I almost expect them to struggle because it's not a movement you're used to doing.
No.
If you're not used to doing that movement, how can you just do it perfectly first time?
Yeah. I mean, some people do have natural form, don't they? But yeah, majority of people are just quite stiff when they first start, and some people get it quicker than others, but that boils down to patience of myself then.
Yeah, and I think it's okay as well. I think people can be very hard on themselves, like when they say like, oh, I'm very bad at all this straight away, but like you can't expect to be good at it. So
No.
I think if you are new, it's another thing worth knowing. Like, don't worry if you're not as good as the person beside you, because you shouldn't be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's why I think having the no mirrors and stuff is a really important thing. And like, yeah, we've got no mirrors, we've got a PB bell, which yeah, it's nice when people.
it's not the female on your content. It's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm all for like community and getting involved, and that's why I think I enjoy training, like I said, for myself mentally. But also I think it's very important for me to carry on training within group classes and group settings because I love being around all of our members. I've made so many friends previous and currently from the new gym. So I think yeah, having that community is really, really nice.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel the same about my gym. Like, it's more a community, and there's like even like a few WhatsApp groups, or a few of the members like sometimes go for lunch on a Saturday or breakfast on a Saturday and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, you love to see that, like, because there's connections being made as well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Oh no, sorry.
So I think that's pretty much everything I have to ask you, Katie. But there is one thing I do ask at the end of every podcast, and that is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh, I don't know. I've got a favourite saying.
Yeah, that'll work.
So not every day is good, but there's a bit of good in every day.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for people to remember that because we all have bad days. And it's very good to make something within a bad day cloud out the entire day, isn't it? Whereas, sometimes, sorry as well for sounding so rough. I have got the worst cold,
It didn't come across bad at all. I don't think.
which is yeah, it's been lingering. I've tried to stay off cardio for about a week, and then yeah, I've got back into it, but it's been quite hard on the lungs. So yeah, no, not every day is not. Yeah, what was I saying? It's completely gone now.
Not every day is good, but there's good in every day.
That's it. Well
Yeah.
done, Chrissy. Yeah, no, that's probably and yeah, you can never stop learning. I think that's very important. I love learning. I love finding out stuff, and improving and stuff. And people that are shut off to that, I think it's a very silly attitude to have, really, because yeah, like we've said, even I don't know, all these F1 drivers have got their coaches and jockeys and horse riders, dressage people. You can never stop learning and improving and bettering yourself in whatever you want to improve in.
Do you think that mindset comes a little bit from being horses for so long? Because with them, you do never stop learning, and even the same horse, like, you never know what horse you're going to get sometimes with them.
Yeah, like I've got one now that's actually my own that I broke this time last year, and he's kind of going to be my next project for myself rather than anyone else. So I've started him a year earlier than I started the one I campaigned this year. He's been out all year, and I'm just thinking I actually can't wait for that journey of trying to get him up to that kind of. I'm not saying I'm ever going to win Royal Welsh or Horse of the Year with him, but of getting him up to that standard of level that I can compete within that area, and it be all my own work again. So I'm looking forward to that period now over this winter and spring. Yeah,
That's really cool, and I've no doubt you will go place with him as well, just like you did the last one.
hope so. God, might be worth a bit of money then. I could do something really big. Who knows?
Have your own gym soon.
No, oh no. So we're leasing the restaurant. Well, hoping to lease the restaurant to alleviate a bit of that kind of responsibility of life. I think being self-employed for the gym and doing my online is as much responsibility. I feel I want to be able to enjoy life again. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's completely understandable. But I just want to say as well, like, thanks for joining us today. And will you tell everybody where they can find you as well?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for asking me. I was very surprised to have received your message. So yeah, I feel very honoured. So thank you. My Instagram is at gym.pony, or I'm just Katie Parry-Evans on Instagram. Got a nice, open, fun profile where I am silly, serious, sausage dogs, horses, gym. That's pretty much me. So
It's like the best combination.
yeah. Well, I like my life. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So if anyone is looking to find me, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. So my Instagram is at Strong in the Saddle with an underscore after it because somebody got to it for me. But on TikTok I have no underscore because I got it first, so it's at Strong in the Saddle. And then my website is www.chrissyhawkins.com. So yeah, just want to say thanks again, Katie, for joining us.
Thank you, Chrissy. So nice to meet you.
I really do appreciate everybody who listens to this podcast. So if you please could help me with the algorithm and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And even, if you want to reach out and suggest topics for me, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Drop me a DM on Instagram or TikTok. And thanks again for listening.